Found out my new friends with benefits is my friend's girlfriend of 4 months. How do I tell him? I don't even know where to start with this because my head is still spinning. I never thought I'd be in this situation dead. Thought this was for the movies, and damn, like I'm stuck in some terrible soap opera cause no matter what I do, things just keep going horribly wrong. I need advice because I have no idea how to handle this without completely blowing up everything around me. I got out of a serious relationship a couple of months ago, and I wasn't looking for anything complicated. I just wanted something easy, no strings attached, nothing that could end in another mess. That's why when I met this woman on a dating app, it seemed perfect. She was upfront about wanting to keep things casual, no labels, no expectations, just fun. We clicked right away. The chemistry was there, and everything about it was simple. Exactly what I needed after the mess of my last breakup. We saw each other on and off for about a month. She made it clear she didn't want to talk about personal details, and I didn't push. It wasn't weird at the time because I thought we were both just enjoying things for what they were. It wasn't like I was trying to date her or learn everything about her life. She said she wanted to keep things discreet, and I was fine with that. The last thing I wanted was drama. Everything was fine until a few nights ago. One of my closest friends, Alex, invited me out with a group. He said he wanted me to meet his new girlfriend, who he had been with for about 4 months. I didn't think much of it. He had been really into this girl, always talking about how great she was, how she was different from the people he had dated before, and how he really saw a future with her. I was happy for him. I knew how bad some of his past relationships had been, so I was glad he finally found someone who seemed to treat him right. I showed up at the bar, and the second I saw her, my stomach dropped. It was her. The woman I had been hooking up with for the last month was sitting next to Alex, holding his hand, smiling like she hadn't been in my bed less than a week ago. I have no idea how I kept my face neutral. I don't know how I even managed to sit down without making it obvious something was wrong. But she didn't even flinch. She looked right at me, gave me a nice smile, and acted like we had never met in our lives. If I hadn't been freaking out inside, I might have been impressed by how smooth she was. She was completely at ease, laughing with Alex, leaning into him, looking at him like he was the only person in the world. I couldn't focus on anything else the entire night. I barely spoke, barely made eye contact with her, but I felt like I was going to be sick the entire time. Every time she touched Alex, every time she kissed him, every time she acted like she was so into him, I felt like I was losing my mind, because I knew the truth. I knew that just a few days ago, she had been in my bed, telling me she didn't want anything serious, telling me she wanted to keep things casual. At one point, I thought maybe I was wrong. Maybe she had a twin. Maybe this was some insane coincidence. Maybe I had completely lost my mind. But no. The way she looked at me when Alex wasn't paying attention, the brief flicker of something in her eyes before she went back to playing the perfect girlfriend, she knew, and she was waiting to see what I would do about it. I left as soon as I could without making it obvious. I don't even remember the excuses I made, just that I needed to get out of there before I did something stupid. The second I got home, I started overthinking everything. If she had been with Alex for 4 months, then she had already been with him for 3 months before she even met me. That means she was already in a relationship when we started hooking up. There was no mistake. She wasn't just cheating now. She had been cheating the entire time. I don't know what to do. If I tell Alex, it's going to blow up his entire relationship. He really likes her. He sees a future with her. And I would be the one responsible for taking that away from him. And if I do tell him, how do I even prove it? It's not like I have texts from her saying she's cheating. All our conversations were just about when and where we were meeting up. There's no proof. If I tell him and she denies it, then it's just my word against hers. And the worst part, if she was willing to do this to Alex, how many other guys has she done this with? Was I the only one, or am I just one of many? I feel sick just thinking about it. I have no idea how to handle this. If I say nothing, then I have to sit back and watch Alex get played like a fool. But if I say something, then I risk losing my friend, looking like a liar, and throwing myself into a mess that I wanted no part of. I don't know what to do. I know I'm ranting, but I'm feeling pretty guilty. Update 1: I have spent the past few days completely stuck in my own head. I barely ate, barely slept, and I couldn't think about anything else. Every time I closed my eyes, all I could see was her sitting next to Alex, smiling at him, holding his hand, kissing him like she wasn't lying to his face every single day. I knew I couldn't just sit on this forever. No matter how much I wanted to avoid the mess, I couldn't just let it slide. Alex and I have been friends for years. He's one of those people who would drop everything to help me if I needed it. He's been there for me through some of the worst moments of my life, and I knew if the roles were reversed, he wouldn't hesitate to tell me. And honestly, even if I wanted to keep quiet, I couldn't. The guilt was eating me alive. Every time he sent me a text talking about how great things were going with her, I wanted to throw my phone across the room. Every time he talked about how serious he was about their relationship, I wanted to tell him to wake up. I knew I had to tell him, but I had no idea how to do it. If I just blurted it out, he might not believe me. If I confronted her first, she might try to twist things around before I could get to him. Every possible way I ran through it in my head. It just felt like there was no good way to do this. But at the end of the day, the truth was the truth, and I owed it to him. I asked him to meet up, just the two of us. No distractions, no other people, just us. I told myself to keep it simple. Stick to the facts. Don't let emotions get in the way. I needed him to understand that I wasn't trying to ruin his relationship. I was just telling him what was happening behind his back. But the second I saw him, I realized this was going to be worse than I thought. He was in a great mood. He was excited about something, talking about how things with his girlfriend were better than ever. He even mentioned that he was thinking about introducing her to his parents soon. That's when I knew this was going to wreck him. I started slow. I told him there was something I had to tell him. Something I had been holding in for a while. I told him it wasn't easy for me to say, but that I needed to say it anyway. I told him I had been seeing someone for the past month, but I had no idea who she really was. I didn't know she was in a relationship, and I definitely didn't know she was his girlfriend. At first, he looked confused, like he couldn't even process what I was saying. He kept asking me what I meant, like maybe I was joking, like maybe this was some kind of misunderstanding. I told him I wasn't joking, and that I had no reason to lie about something like this. That's when his expression changed. The confusion turned into something else. He asked me if I was sure, if there was any chance I had made a mistake, if maybe I was just seeing someone who looked like her. I told him no, I was absolutely sure. I told him everything, how we met, how long it had been going on, how she had told me she wanted to keep things casual. I told him that when I saw her with him, I was just as shocked as he was. For a few seconds, he just sat there, not saying anything. I could see the exact moment the reality of it hit him. He went completely still, his hands clenched into fists, his jaw tightened, and I knew he was trying not to lose it right then and there. I tried to tell him that I had no idea, that if I had known, I never would have touched her. I told him I hated that I had been part of this, even without realizing it. But then he asked me the one question I wasn't ready for. He asked why I didn't tell him sooner. I didn't know what to say, because honestly, there was no good answer. I told him I was in shock, that I didn't know how to bring it up, that I didn't want to hurt him, but I could tell that none of it mattered to him at that moment. All he could hear was that I had known for days and hadn't told him. Then he asked me another question, one that hit even harder. He asked if I had proof, and that's when I realized how screwed I was, because I didn't have anything. No screenshots, no messages, nothing that could back up what I was saying. The only proof was my word against hers. I told him I didn't have anything concrete, but that I wouldn't make something like this up. I told him he could ask her himself, but as soon as I said that, I could already see where his mind was going. If he confronted her, she would deny it. And if she denied it, what then? I could see the conflict in his face. He wanted to believe me, but he also didn't want to believe that his girlfriend had been cheating on him for an entire month. And then, just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, his phone buzzed. He looked down at the screen, and his face changed again. He didn't even have to say anything. I already knew who it was. She had texted him, and the second he looked back up at me, I knew I had lost him. He told me he needed time to think, that he wasn't saying I was lying, but that this was a lot to take in. He said he needed to talk to her first. I tried to tell him to be careful, that she was going to twist things around, that she had been lying to him for months and she wasn't going to stop now, but I could tell he wasn't listening anymore. I left before things got worse, and now? Now I'm just waiting for the fallout, because I know this isn't over, not by a long shot. Update 2. It's been almost 2 weeks since I told Alex the truth, and I'm still not sure where things stand. I've barely heard from him since that day. He's been distant, and every time I try to reach out, he brushes me off. It's like he's in his own world and I'm stuck watching him drift further and further away. I can't blame him for needing time, but honestly, I don't know how much longer I can take this. The worst part, he actually did confront her, but what I didn't expect was how everything unfolded when he did. From what I've gathered, she flipped it all on him, told him I was lying, that I had some weird vendetta against her, and tried to make it sound like I was the one in the wrong for even bringing it up. She completely turned it around. And because I had no solid proof, Alex started questioning me. I could tell he was hurt, but he was also confused, and I could see that he was looking for any reason to justify her actions, to find a way to believe her over me. She was feeding him lies, and I could see him swallowing them without even thinking twice. For a few days after their talk, he barely spoke to me. He didn't respond to my calls or texts, and when he did finally reach out, it was just a simple, "I need space." I don't know if he was trying to process everything, or if he was just trying to figure out who to believe. Either way, the silence was killing me. I tried talking to him again after a few days, but it was clear that he was still torn. He didn't want to outright accuse her of anything, but he was also beginning to pick up on the red flags. He told me that he didn't want to make any rash decisions, that he needed to see things for himself. But here's the thing, I don't think he wants to see it. He doesn't want to face the possibility that everything he's built with her might be a lie. And the worst part? Every time I bring it up, he just shuts down. It's like I've become the enemy in all of this. I'm no longer the friend trying to protect him. Now, I'm just the guy who accused his girlfriend of cheating without any proof. I won't lie, I felt completely abandoned. I know I didn't handle this perfectly, but I thought he'd understand why I did it. I didn't want him to waste any more time in a relationship that was toxic, but it feels like I'm losing him, no matter what I say. As for her, I still haven't heard from her directly. I know she's playing the victim, and part of me just wants to confront her, but I know that'll only make things worse. She's already done enough damage. I can't let her manipulate this situation any further, but it's hard because I don't think Alex is ready to see her for what she really is. Every time I think I'm getting through to him, he pulls away again. I don't know how much more I can take of this back and forth. I don't know if I'm even the right person to talk to him anymore. Maybe he needs to figure this out on his own. Maybe he needs to fall flat on his face before he wakes up. But at the same time, I hate sitting here, knowing that if I'd just been a little more patient or a little more careful with how I approach things, maybe he wouldn't be caught in this mess at all. Right now, it feels like the whole situation is slipping through my fingers. I've done what I could, but I can't control how Alex reacts. I just have to sit back and watch him make decisions that I know will hurt him in the end. And I don't know if I can keep doing this. Every day feels like I'm holding my breath, waiting for him to come to his senses, or for him to cut me off completely. At this point, I'm not sure which is worse. Final update. Well, it's finally happened. I don't think I can call him a friend anymore, not after everything that's gone down. It's been nearly a month since everything blew up, and I think I've finally come to terms with the fact that Alex and I are done. It wasn't just the silence that did it. It wasn't just the fact that he started pulling away more and more. It was the moment when I realized that despite all the evidence, despite everything I'd said, he chose to ignore the truth in favor of keeping things comfortable with her. I got the call yesterday. Alex told me that he was giving her another chance. He apologized for not listening to me, said that he appreciated me trying to look out for him, but he felt like he needed to make things right with her, that he wasn't ready to give up on their relationship yet. He actually said he thought I was just angry and hurt, and that maybe I was projecting my own issues onto her and their relationship. I don't even know where to begin. I didn't even get mad, honestly. It just hurt too much. I felt numb. I wanted to scream, to tell him that he was making a mistake, that he was letting her win. But I couldn't. He wasn't listening. He'd already made up his mind. For the first time in my life, I realized that no matter how much I cared about someone, no matter how much I tried to protect them from being hurt, they have to want to see it for themselves. And Alex didn't want to see it. Honestly, I don't know if he's ever going to come around. The more I think about it, the more I realize that maybe I was trying to fix something that wasn't mine to fix. Maybe I should have let him make his own mistakes. He's an adult, and at the end of the day, he made his choice, and I need to respect that, even if it kills me. After I got off the phone with him, I sat there for a while, just thinking. I couldn't believe I had spent so much time worrying about someone who wasn't willing to look out for himself. I think that's the hardest part about all of this. The realization that I cared more about his happiness than he did about his own. I know now that I can't force people to see what they're not ready to see. I can't make someone wake up if they don't want to. And as much as it hurts, I have to let go. I haven't heard from her, and part of me feels relieved by that. I'm not sure what I'd say to her if I ever did. I still don't understand how someone could do what she did. But at this point, I think I've spent enough energy thinking about her. She's not my problem anymore. What's next for me? I'm not entirely sure. I'm still processing everything that's happened. And I'm taking some time for myself. I'm focusing on my own growth, on learning how to trust people again, and on moving forward. I know I'll eventually heal, but right now, it feels like it's going to take some time. But one thing's for sure, I'm not doing this again. I'm not going to put my energy into trying to fix someone who's not willing to fix themselves. It's a painful lesson to learn, but I'm grateful that I learned it now, before I invested even more time into a relationship that wasn't meant to be. And as for Alex, if he ever reaches out, I'm not sure what I'll say, but I don't think I'll ever forget this. He chose her, and that choice has consequences. I just hope someday he realizes what he's lost. Because right now, all I can do is move on, and hope that one day I'll look back at this chapter and feel proud of how I handled it. I'm done waiting for someone who's not going to show up. Edit. First off, I just want to say thank you to everyone who commented, offered advice, or just listened to my story. I wasn't sure how I was going to get through all of this, but reading your words really helped me sort through my feelings. I never thought I'd be able to share something so personal, and the support I've gotten from this community has been overwhelming. I didn't expect such an outpouring of kindness, and I can't express how much it's meant to me. I know some of you had different perspectives on how I should have handled things, and I've taken all of your advice to heart. Some of you pointed out that I might be holding on to a relationship that's past its expiration date, and I think you're right. Looking back, there were red flags I ignored, and I definitely should have seen this coming. I think I've learned more than I realized through all of this, and one of the biggest takeaways is that sometimes, no matter how much you want to help or fix things, you can't force someone to change if they're not ready to. Some commenters asked if I plan to reach out to Alex in the future, or if I'd ever be open to talking to him again. Right now, I really don't think I will. I'm not angry anymore, just incredibly sad and disappointed. He had the chance to be upfront with me, and he chose to lie and let things fester. I can't respect someone who's not willing to do the work to be a better person. Maybe in time, I'll feel differently, but I think I need a clean break to truly heal. As for the situation with my so-called friends, I don't think I'll ever fully understand why they did what they did, but I know now that I'm better off without them. Their betrayal has hurt more than I could ever explain, but I can't keep trying to get closure from people who don't deserve my time or energy. I'm focusing on my own journey now, and the best thing I can do for myself is to surround myself with people who are worthy of my trust and affection. A lot of you have asked if I'm seeing anyone now. Right now, I'm just taking time for myself, focusing on my mental health and rediscovering what makes me happy without anyone else's influence. I'm not rushing into anything, and honestly, I'm not even sure I'm ready to date again. I need to heal first and foremost, but I'm open to the idea of new relationships in the future when I feel like I'm in a better place. Thank you again for all of your kind words and support. This community has helped me in ways I can't describe. I don't know what the future holds, but I know I'm better prepared for whatever comes next because of everything I've learned here. I'll be okay. And Alex, if you ever out there reading this, know that bro, she's playing you. I know this sounds invalid because I've never really had any real stable relationships, but she is playing you like clockwork. Still love you, bro.